Hey everyone, and thanks for stopping by. In front of me I have the MAFEX Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales action figure. Now I wasn't actually going to get this, but I kept seeing it on the sites that I purchased my figures, and it just kept taunting me, and eventually I decided to take the plunge and buy it. And here it is, it just arrived today, and I'm quite interested in opening this up now, because the more I see it, the more I'm actually kind of thinking this looks really cool. For the most part, you can kind of see actually it's pretty much a repaint of the Peter Parker Spider-Man figure that came out some time ago. So here is the box anyway, with the window. There you can kind of see his face. I've taken a glare off. So this is actually a grown-up Miles Morales. It's not the young version, the teenage version that is regular in the comics. So this is a different take, alternate reality sort of thing, and it's a bit different. But anything to reuse the Spider-Man mold, I guess. But he looks good. Overall, he kind of looks like he's got a face that is a bit more reminiscent of, say, the Batman animated series cartoons. That's how I feel about it, and I don't mind that. I think that looks good. But it's just taking me a little bit of time to adjust to this adult version of Miles. But it looks pretty good. Packaging, by the way, is just pretty standard for MAFEX stuff. Very reminiscent of the original Spider-Man one. But yeah, on the side we've got Marvel Spider-Man. Picture of the figure 2. On the top is Marvel Spider-Man here, and then the back is just more photos of Spider-Man in action, and then there you can kind of see better look at his face. So just a one unmasked face, so that's okay. Different eyes, I guess, different head, maybe different eyes. We'll see. He's got magnets on his feet, just like the other normal Peter Parker Spider-Man. Webbing all looks pretty much the same as well, and same with the scrunched mask. So yeah, it looks pretty much like for the compared to the Peter Parker Spider-Man. So let's get this thing open. Show you the bottom as well, actually, because I just realized, or maybe just only realized it now, but there is a sticker here, Medicom Toys official sticker with the serial number across it. So if you want to check you've got a real copy of the figure, that's one way to find out. So let's get this thing open. Alright, so here's Miles Morales out of the box. Now here's the parts that he comes with, and he comes with quite a few different things, some slight differences between the Peter Parker Spider-Man. So first, I'm going to talk about the stand. It's the same stand as the Peter Parker Spider-Man ones, and I guess most MAFEX ones. So it comes with a clear crystal base with the shaft. I've just put that in there already, and you've got the screws and the nuts to tighten those or loosen those, however you choose, and then you've got the claw at the top of that. It's not the best stand in the world, but I don't think there is a real perfect stand, but it's useful to have regardless. Then he comes with a few different parts. I'm going to go through the head first. So you can see the original head on him. I'll go into that one more detail soon, but he comes with a different head which also has narrow eyes, so his eyes are not interchangeable on this figure, which is a shame. I think that would have been a nice touch. Peter Parker Spider-Man didn't have that either. The SH Figure Art Spider-Mans do, but this one doesn't. So this one's got the narrow kind of kill sight eyes. I say kill sight based on a lot of the new kind of modern suits, but yeah, narrow eyes with the red really looking nice and sharp. The red webbing looks good overall in this figure as well, all sculpted in. Looks really, really nice, and the black is really a clean black for the most part. I think my fingers are kind of getting a bit moist, but generally, yeah, it's a nice looking paint job and everything for the most part. As that head comes with the mask off, so this is just kind of a scrunched mask, so you can see the eyes there. This is very similar to the Peter Parker Spider-Man one, same sort of concept and idea. You just put that in one of the hands and he can kind of hold it as if he's removed his mask. There's no hollow bit there. And then finally it comes with an unmasked head, just like Peter Parker Spider-Man did. So this again is a grown-up Miles Morales, so this is pretty new to everyone really. We've always only ever seen Miles as a teenager, so this is a cool look. I like the head sculpt on this. The hair looks really good, crisp, clean hairline, and the hair itself is very, very clean, jet black. Looks super nice. His facial structure looks really good as well. It's for me, it reminds me a lot of the Batman animated series kind of look and vibe that I'm getting from it, and that's a good thing because I like that. And then yeah, you get the neck piece on him. The lines look a little bit pinkish here, but it's not too bad. But yeah, you need to replace the neck on the actual figure as well, which is a bit of a pain, just like it was with Peter Parker Spider-Man, but it is doable. But overall, this unmasked head looks pretty good. I do like it, actually. Then onto the hands. So he's got the two fists that are already on him. Then this pair of hands is very similar to another pair of hands that he actually has, but I believe both sets, or at least one of these sets, Peter Parker has as well. Gets a bit confusing to memorize what each one has, but this is kind of like a relaxed hand. You can kind of use this as just soft gripping, and you can see his hand details are different to Peter Parker Spider-Man, where it's only the fingers that have the web ribbing on them, and that's really, really cool. The paint does get a little bit rough on these, but it's not that bad. I do like them anyway. So it's cool. It's a cool looking suit. I really love this suit. Those hands are useful to have. These are the second pair of hands, which is quite similar to what I just showed you, but you can see they're a little bit more relaxed. So these I would kind of say are more for shaking hands, that kind of thing. Again, same sort of deal going on, consistent with the artwork, the costume. Rough paint a little bit, but I'm not going to complain too much about that. Of course, Spider-Man must come with webbing hands, so he comes with a pair of these, and this is like so. You can see the bend in the middle fingers too, and again with the red fingers. Put those to the side. Comes with a pair of hands which will allow him to hold onto various parts of the webbing that he comes with. So these are the same as what Peter Parker Spider-Man came with, but again just different to keep in line with his costume, Miles' costume, rather than Peter Parker Spider-Man. Then we get to the wall crawling hands. Wall crawling hands is as you would expect them to be, always useful and ever important to have with every Spider-Man figure, I think. So these are very cool, look nice as well. Actually, when I say the paint looks rough on some of them I don't actually mind too much because it kind of gives it that weathered look, and that's not too bad. And then you get the final two parts. So these ones are the magnetic pieces. So I haven't actually tried this on an actual magnetic surface myself because I just don't really have the time for that, but I figure it's going to work because it worked with Peter Parker Spider-Man. So it's the same wall crawling hands that you have, but they have the magnets on the underside. So you can see right here that they do work, and these hold on to each other like so. But same thing with Spider-Man, which I'll get into in more detail in just a bit. Peter Parker Spider-Man, I mean, is when you put the joints on, they are a little bit loose on the peg. So I feel like depending on how you're going to have him pose hanging from a metal object, the joint might come off anyway. So that's one of the reasons why I just figured that if I try it, it's just going to be a bit of a nuisance. But it's there. It's a cool addition to have. That's what Peter Parker Spider-Man also came with. So it's good to keep it consistent. And similarly for the feet, you get those magnetic versions too. I'll show you that they work like so. And you just have to swap these out. So it's good to have the pair of these, just like Peter Parker Spider-Man had. Not everyone's going to use them, but hey, options is good, right? Finally, he comes with various parts of webbing. Some are the same as Peter Parker Spider-Man, but not all. So these pieces here are, so you get a pair of short web shots. So these are plain white. You got to sandwich them into the joint. I'll show you that later on. Then you get those same things, but in a longer web shot now. Then you get a pair that he can grab onto, so these aren't shooting out instead, but rather he's holding onto these ones. So if he's ziplining or such like that, you can use the fist, and I'll show you that right now. So it was with this fist, so you can see there's a hole there. All you got to do is feed this in. That's it. Very simple. Same thing for the other one and the other hand. Finally, so this is a long piece that only Miles comes with. Spider-Man, Peter Parker Spider-Man, came with a long web shot as well, but at the end of it was spraying. So Miles does not come with that. So Miles comes with this version instead, which is kind of like a one that he would actually stand on. So he'd put his foot down there or something, kind of hang down. So I mean, I'm not a big fan of it. It's again an option. So if you're gonna use it, then great. But not something that I would have been clamoring for myself. So it's okay. I mean, it's just different. Then we come onto the figure itself. So let's talk about that. So onto the figure itself. So actually, on first inspection, and depending on if you've got a figure or not and what you've seen, some pictures and some videos make this figure look a little bit chubby, but it's definitely not that chubby looking or at all chubby looking. I think because of its more black look to it and its more streamlined look to it, it can occasionally look quite chubby depending on the lighting too, but in person it's not a chubby figure. So with that out of the way, let me go through the figure itself. So the overall costume is of course based on what Miles Morales wears in the comics, and it's a very, very nice sharp looking black and red outfit with the white eyes. The sculpting on it is quite good. It's similar to what Peter Parker Spider-Man had on him. You can see the spider here sculpted as well. And then going on to the back, which looks just as good. See his butt cheeks glistening in the light there. The fists on him again with the red fingers. And then otherwise it's all jet black throughout, a clean jet black for the most part. There's a bit of a crotch blemish, but that came like that out of the box. But overall the figure does look quite nice. There are a couple very, very tiny differences compared to Peter Parker Spider-Man, and that's mainly in the legs. So his calves are a little bit shorter than Peter Parker Spider-Man, and his thighs are less defined compared to Peter Parker Spider-Man. Overall, I prefer Peter Parker Spider-Man's legs, but it's a subtle difference. Kind of makes this figure a little bit more unique rather than a just repaint of the other one. Let's go through the articulation, and I'll carry on with the rest. So articulation then goes up like so. His head goes very, very good amount, same as the other figure, tilting side to side, looking either side. So he's got a good range of motion there. The elbows, shoulders can go up like so and around. You can pull them around. And let's grab the other arm so you can see he can cross over very, very nicely, just like Peter Parker can. He's got the twist there, which is ever so important to have, which SH Figuarts love to omit, but he's got that, just like Peter Parker Spider-Man. That's the same. And then, of course, the hand up and down and twist around. That's good. Then onto the torso, so you can crunch like so. There we go, a bit more. And then leaning back, but then you'll get a gap there. But, depending on the lighting, it'll cast quite a big shadow, so it might not look as bad anyway. You can lean to the side and then twist and then lower twist like so. So he's got very similar sort of stuff going on as Peter Parker Spider-Man did. His legs do pull down like so on both sides. Hopefully you can see this, because I feel there's a lot of shadows being cast here. He's got the twist right there, kick up, bring the legs down to give him more range like so. The legs do pop off at this joint sometimes. That happened to me with Peter Parker Spider-Man. If you push it and stress it too much, then it will just pop off. But just click it back into place and it shouldn't cause you too much more problems. But yeah, it's because you're probably going too far with it. Bending of the knee like so. Because the legs are a little bit different, his aren't as defined or as slim as Peter Parker Spider-Man. I feel his overall kind of bend and squatting is a bit more limited compared to Peter Parker Spider-Man. Still good, still plenty good, but just a little bit less than that. And then you've got the heel, ankle, up and down, twist and pivot, and then the toe. So all in all, it's very, very similar, and sometimes in many cases very much the same as Peter Parker Spider-Man. And that's not a bad thing, because that figure was like the gold standard for Spider-Man toys when that came out, and it still holds in my opinion. I don't collect Marvel Legends, so I cannot speak on that, but it still holds in my opinion for articulation. But overall, this figure is pretty solid with everything everything combined so far. So articulation, and then the looks, and then the parts. So it's all looking very, very good indeed. Now quickly, I'm going to change the hands and the head. With the hands, I just want to point out the same problems that I have with Peter Parker Spider-Man, in that they are just on a very, very basic peg, so they do come off super easily. And that's kind of what I referred to as well when you use the magnetic hands. I feel that depending on how you're going to have him hanging off a magnetic surface, that the weight of the figure is probably just going to loosen the joint. So just something to keep in mind. So I've taken that hand off. Let's put on his magnetic hand since I've got it here. And that's it. That's what you got to do. But actually, I'm going to take that back off. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get his web hand, get the small web shot piece right here. So what we're going to do is sandwich that in. I'm hoping I don't go off camera with this. Line it up, and then yeah, put the hand back on. So this is pretty much the same for many other figures. And I missed that one, but let's do that again. I haven't used this hand too much. It's a little bit more, it's not as loose as the regular hand. His head has come off, and that's actually a good thing. Hopefully we'll get to that in just a moment. And there we go. Put that on, and there, just position that how you want, and then you've got Spider-Man shooting a web shot. So his head has come off, and that's fine, because I was going to change that one anyway. So this is his normal head. I'm going to put it on with the squinty eyes. What you're going to do is put that on like so. Now changing the actual neck piece, that's a bit of a pain in the butt sometimes, and it was the same with Peter Parker. So I'm going to try that right now. So that comes off quite easily. Here it doesn't come off so great. So what I tried to do is, so you can see it's Adam's apple, so I twist that to the back. Now this might ruin some of the figure a little bit, the joint, or maybe the paint. It's already scuffed. I can't remember if that was like that or it was me. But what I do, put that towards the back, and then I push it like that, and then it comes off pretty clean and keeps that joint intact. So that's the neck piece off, which means I can now put on the unmasked head and the unmasked neck as well. And there we go, click it back into place, and that has similar sort of articulation with it. So tilting looking left and right. Mine's a little bit stiff, so you can see actually a lot of the joint happens with the neck itself rather than towards the jaw bit. But I'll show you how far I can go. Looking up like so, and then down. I have to push him down a bit. It's a little bit stiff on my one, but it's not too bad either. It depends on your own individual unit. But unmasked head looks very, very cool. Again, it looks very, very clean, and yeah, it just looks really, really, appealing. Let's change his foot because he has a magnetic foot. So you pull that out. It's got a thicker joint on the foot. Let's get the left foot again, and then you just put that back in. This figure is very, very clean, by the way, so it's got not a lot of friction on it when you're holding it, so it might slip out of your hands every so often, but it really depends. It's not been a massive problem for me, but I just kind of felt it slipping there. But it looks really, really cool. The blacks and the reds really do stand out. That's pretty much it for the hands. The head, I've shown you that. The unmasked head, I've shown you that. I've also shown you this, and that's it really. That's really what this figure is about, and that's a good thing actually, because you know what, I like this figure a lot still. Let me bring up Peter Parker, who's standing at the ready. He may not stand on his own. Yes, he is. So here you got Peter Parker right there, and he looks very, very cool. I like both figures. Now, you may not necessarily be a Miles fan or want a Miles that is a lot older and out of his teens, but you know what, I was skeptical a little bit at first of getting an adult Miles, just because I'm not used to it. But actually, I don't regret getting this figure at all. It's a really, really nice looking figure. It complements Peter Parker very, very well. There's not a lot of Miles figures, I don't think, or very good, high quality Miles figures. So I would actually say, yeah, I recommend definitely try and pick it up if you can. It should still be available in most retailers. Check Nippon Yasan, CD Japan, Nin Game, things like that. Overall, I recommend this figure. I do like it. And I look forward to the other MAFEX Marvel range, so Wolverine, coming out very soon. Thanks for watching. Take care wherever you are and whatever it is that you're doing. If you haven't seen this figure in action, check out my channel and there's a video on that one plus more. Thank you for watching. Take care now. Bye bye.